tonight, we are really excited to be talking about Roadkill, episode 3. What an episode, huh?
Boy. But you know what? Before we even get into our commentary on it, Jackie, let's just jump right into that speed recap, to be honest. Because
all right, I'm not mad at it.
It's your turn this week, and I want you to beat my record from last week, which was, let's say, perfection.
I love how you become like more and more of a Mary Poppins every time we do this show, where you're just more and more convinced of your infallibility, and I really love that journey for you.
Thank you.
I
appreciate that.
I tried to make my recap have a few more details and be as close to 30 seconds as possible, but of course, as we know, that is always a little bit dangerous, so let's see how it goes.
All right. Do you have that? And
I
then
do.
I will now use my mind powers to flip it in your hand now.
At Sheffield, Steph has mysteriously died of an overdose. I don't quite believe it, and neither does Rose. Speaking of self-assured daughters of Peter Lawrence, Lily has wrangled her sister Susan back for a showdown re their parents' relationship, which makes no one happy. Prime Minister Don deals with party infighting over British weapons. Rochelle flips and starts looking into Peter's dirty dealings with Charmion's tape, and more help from the We Hate Peter squad. Pretty much everyone's mad at Peter now, except Rose, who wants to meet. And
done.
Duh! I had 2 cards.
And bah! So it's the perfect encapsulation of this episode, to be honest.
It's like, it all gets a little crazy at the end. Yeah, I also realized when we used to be able to be together and sit next to each other on a couch, you could hold this instead of me having to hold it and these.
I know. I should just get a second one. We figured it out.
That's wow. I can't believe it took us this long.
I know. I'm gonna get.
Uh-oh, did we lose Andrea? We might have. We're having some internet issues, folks. It's 2020 all over again. So while we wait for hopefully her internet to come back, we would of course love to hear from you out in the audience. We want to hear your thoughts, your feelings, your favorite moments, and we'd love for you to weigh in on what we're going to be debating a little bit later, which is corrupt politicians. Is that just sort of the nature of the beast, or can it be avoided? So while we're waiting, I'm going to go and look at the old social phone and see what Zach has sent us here. So let's see. Some really fun tweets from during the show tonight. We have from @obfuscate, which is spelled OBFUSC8, which I really enjoy. What a day. Peter's managed to piss off his whole family, wife, and his mistress. Yeah, not a great day for Peter on tonight's episode. We also have a great tweet from @JRR Busby, who says, "Here's your tea, hot and sloppy." A lot of that being served tonight. So yeah, hot and sloppy indeed. And with that, I think we've got Andrea back. So let's talk about our favorite moments from tonight's episode,
I think I'm frozen again, but we'll see what we can do.
I like it. I think we can hear you.
Well, that's something, right?
Yeah, that's something to start with for sure. So I think you and I both really enjoyed the chess game that we saw between Peter and that party chairman guy.
Mm-hmm. I think you liked that a little better than me, so I want to hear what you enjoyed about that.
I think the thing I liked about it was that it was just kind of an all cards on the table shady dealing situation where they're just talking in circles around what they actually mean. And he's clearly offering him a chance to be prime minister and saying, like, I know you want this, like, come and take it. And Peter's like, oh, I can't. I just like the cloaked layers of the conversation there.
I enjoyed that too. I enjoyed the sort of like many entendres. I don't know if you can use that when it's not sexual, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And it was really fun because they clearly like didn't want to play their cards too much, but they still wanted to talk about this, which was interesting. What I actually liked more was another scene with a table in this episode, which was that messy AF family dinner.
Like, family Thunderdome.
Oh my God. Like one of my followers on Twitter, I believe, goes under Maddie's Masquerades and said, and we thought The Simpsons and Married with Children was bad. I was like, I know. I was like, we thought it couldn't get worse than Family Guy or All in the Family, and here we are.
That was truly difficult to watch, but it was so much fun to watch. I actually kind of like the interplay between the two sisters, where Lily kept trying to like escort Susan under the bus, and Susan would be like, "No, thank you. I will not. I'm not going to sit by and let you do that."
Susan's like, actually, I've been in NA for 10 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, actually, I'm doing great. I live on a boat far away from you people.
I know. I know. I thought that was fantastic. And to be honest, I would watch a show that was 90% just their family issues. Like, that was really fun. The drama between all of them was fun. There wasn't a lot of drama between Peter and his wife in this scene as much, but I think what we got from them later more than made up for it, in my opinion. Like, there's some spiciness there that we weren't getting at that family dinner, and either way, I was here for it.
Helen finally standing up for herself was one of my favorite moments of the episode as well, where she just kind of snaps and is like, look, if all I am to you is a liar, then you should at least trust me to know how to lie properly, you clown. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And speaking of her lying in court, can we talk about Rochelle in this episode?
Yeah, we can. I was so thrilled with that, to see her just slowly be flipped to the side of good.
I know. Seeing that was amazing. Like, just the moment where she pops up in the news desk or the news office was like amazing. She's all of a sudden just like, you're like, oh, okay. She and Uncle Carrie are making some deals over here.
Evil Uncle Carrie finally gets a little bit of a heart for a brief second in this episode. Doing the very least that he can do, by the way. Some flowers. Nailed it, Uncle Carrie.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, right? But Rochelle slowly being like, oh no, morals. It was amazing. Such a good part of this.
I enjoyed that quite a lot. And I think we had some questions about the whole legal side of this, which of course we'll talk about a little bit later. But of course, we want to know what your favorite moments are, so you can put those in the comments, and whatever streaming platform you're watching, we'll find them and we will look at them. But first, I think we should do one of our favorite segments. It might be time for the hot take debate.
Not that. Anything but
Not
that.
that. The hottest of takes. Debated. Spicy takes.
Yeah, and I think this week is like ghost pepper level spicy, to be honest, especially with at least everything we've been going through in the US.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So we, of course, we talk about politics a lot because we work in the media and we're watching a show about politics. But I think that one of the great questions that one can ask is, are politicians by nature corrupt? Or can you have a good politician? Is it like the nature of the job, or is it what our current iteration breeds?
So it's like nature versus nurture sort of situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now, I think I'm prepared to argue either side of this.
Okay.
I think you probably are too. Do you have a specific side you'd like to go with today?
I think I would prefer to say nurture myself. I think this is a nurture situation of corruption.
I love it.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, do it.
So I think when we're talking about politicians, I think that there genuinely are people who come into this wanting to do good. You know, we see people like AOC and early days Obama, and a lot of people who are involved in politics who are really genuinely getting into it because they want to make a difference. Stacey Abrams is someone else who comes to mind. It's like, I want to see a difference in my community. Nobody else is doing it. I gotta do this, you know? But then we see things in their history of politics and of making policies that aren't great. Like, one of the big things that came out around the imprisonment of children at the border was that these weren't laws that Trump actually put into order. He's following through with the laws and he's taking advantage of laws that are already in place. But Obama is the one who made the laws, and I think that is a disappointment for a president that we thought was very liberal and pro-immigration. But I think that's the thing, is he put that in place because it was, you're bargaining and you're looking at it many different ways. And when you need money to run for president, you have to make deals with lobbyists and with groups and with advocacy groups. And I think that's the thing, is you start making deals to get where you need to get to make as much change as you can. And then you get into that spot and you realize that you are now too corrupt to make those changes. And I think it's something that happens to degrees over time. And I don't, I voted for Obama. I loved Obama. But I think in some ways he was a politician like anybody else was. And I think that it's not necessarily a desire to be corrupt, but it's a thing where you figure out that the way to get to the top is by making deals. And while that might not be corruption, it's certainly sacrificing your dreams to an extent. And that's what I got.
All very good points. However, I'm going to disagree with you because I'm required to by this prompt. But also because I actually do think that there's something to that idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, I think that by very nature, the want of power makes people do shady stuff. Like, because you want to be in a position to make changes, like, you are inherently thinking, like, I'm better than this, I can do better. And a little bit of that is I think, slightly questioning, like, what the collective good can do. So while I think there are obviously some examples of politicians that I think are doing the best that they can with the situation that is, like, government, I think that anything above even, like, your own personal choices, by some degree, is going to end up making you do things you don't want to do. And acknowledging that and participating in the system anyway sort of means that, like, you're part of the system and thus a little questionable. I also think that because of the way our system runs, money is so intrinsic to it that like, this desire to accrue wealth and capital and power is sort of inextricably linked. And when you do that, like, you can't avoid being evil because you're just on top of everybody else.
I suppose. I don't necessarily agree with that, but, I guess that's where we always are, right? We're not great debaters, I suppose.
Well, I have never actually done a real debate. I've only done this hot take debate with you. I am curious to know how much we would get ourselves destroyed if we were in a real debating situation.
How you can tell you never went to Catholic school, Jackie, is because you never experienced the morality debates that you do in religion class.
Oh my goodness. I would love to be a fly on that wall. I guess the question for me is, just in general, like, I in this specific instance, I think that we can agree that Peter, in particular, is an evil, shady dude. Like, he might have gotten into it for the right reasons, but my goodness, I don't think he did. I think he got into it for personal aggrandizement. Yeah.
I don't know, because when you hear about Peter's past, you hear that he's, like, this fun swinging 60s guy. And that kind of makes you wonder, like, if he was like, I'm all about civil rights and women's rights and the ability to get access to the things they need for swinging times. And maybe he did, maybe he did. And now he's in his, I don't know, 60s. And he's like, I need money now. I need to retire soon.
I actually think that the story he told Susan was really an interesting window into how he thinks about things, where he's talking about a situation where someone's trying to, like, buy a building from him. And his first impulse isn't like, oh, I can make some money by selling my property. It's like, I should be in charge. I should be running everything. Like, he's an interesting character, to say the least. But of course, those are our two viewpoints. There's obviously more to be said on this. It's one of, like, the classic questions, I think. We want to hear from you out in the audience. What do you think? Is politics a game where you can play by the rules and do good stuff? Is it by nature sort of a challenging situation? I don't know. I'm not here to answer that question, but we want to hear from you. I'm going to check the phone, the
Please
social phone,
do.
see what the deal
Let's
is.
see what the kids have to say about our hot takes.
We've got. Let me just scroll through a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we don't have anything specific on this topic, but we do have something about your boy Peter Lawrence. A great tweet from at Maddie Scurades, who says, "We're all stuck in this broken down lift called Peter Lawrence," which, as of course we remember, is Lily's quote from tonight.
Which is like one of my favorite things somebody said on this show, and I want to start using that as an insult from now on.
I know, just calling your friends and neighbors and family members broken down lifts.
I was planning to just bust it out at Thanksgiving the first time, like my mom burns the turkey or my dad ruins the mashed potatoes or something like that.
We're all stuck in this broken down lift called the Willennon Thanksgiving. I love it. I'm here for it. Let's move on to our next segment here, which I think... Uh-oh, did we lose Andrea again? I think we're having internet issues. I think we're going to skip ahead to a segment that we all know, we all love. Of course, we're going to do Megan in the Field! A person with internet. We will go to her.
I do have internet. I think you can hear me now.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Thanks for jumping in, Megan. Thanks for
Of
switching
course.
the order up, everyone.
No problem. I really enjoyed that debate you guys were just having there. I meant to tell Andrea I did go to a Catholic school. However, I don't know if that informs me or not on this debate. So I think I'll leave it with you guys.
It's more like, did you have 1.5 million debates when you were in Catholic school? Is the typical experience in my experience.
Yeah, that rings true.
Today we're going to debate Commandment 3. And you're like, oh, God.
Here we go.
I wondered with that question, to me, I think, which political TV show did you come of age during? Was it The West Wing or was it House of Cards? Because I think that would inform how you view politics. I'd be curious. Or this show, which probably isn't. That might also.
Well, I think in Jackie's case it was Veep. So that's a little different.
Well, or like Parks and Recreation, which...
Yes, that too.
Good call.
Good answer, yeah.
Veep
I feel like
probably
we
somewhere in the middle,
We need some kind of like political good, bad, like continuum meme where we put all of the political shows and just like measure it.
Yes.
And then we'll have an answer. Maybe we'll work on that this week. Bring it to you all next week.
We'll do that. Leslie Knope and Peter Lawrence is like way on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that fist fight would be fun. Now, speaking of Peter and his, various battles, Megan, what's the deal with this legal situation? Can his lawyers turn on him? Why can they do this? Do they just like not have double jeopardy in the UK? What's the deal?
Okay, so good question. First of all, there is double jeopardy in the UK. There are exceptions in extreme circumstances, but my interpretation of this whole case is that is not what's happening here. So I want to walk you back to the first episode. Peter wins this libel case, and remember that he chose to bring this case against the newspaper. It was totally his decision. I remember when the press was saying, oh, this was a gamble for him. Like, it was his choice because he wanted to prove that the newspaper lied about him. So that case was a dispute about the truth of the fact, not the legality of the fact. So all he really had to do was prove that the newspaper damaged his reputation, which he did. And obviously, Rochelle was the one who got him off in that case, but he himself was not accused of anything. So there wouldn't really be any repeat. And another thing, back in episode 1, we learned that Rochelle, she says that it's kind of her specialty to get people, high-profile people, to win their case. Like, at one point, she gets called away to help a high-profile politician who I think got caught speeding or something. So this is kind of her specialty, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because now in this episode, I think what we're really seeing here is a kind of ethic and moral development of the character rather than like a legal situation. Because she has the diary now from Charmian, and she did mention that it proves perjury, but it doesn't really prove anything else. And we see her go to the media in this case. So she's kind of using the media instead of law to kind of remedy the situation. So to me, it feels like she's having more of like an ethical, moral dilemma within herself, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I obviously don't know enough about law. Despite having to work with GBH legal all the time, I have not absorbed any of that into my brain yet. I'm sure Jay and Jeff will be very disappointed in me. However, I thought it was interesting because I feel like that's something you never see in or rarely see in legal films. Like, you know, you see a
Yeah.
lot of
Mhm.
standing up for the case and winning it against all odds, but you never see
Right.
the
Yeah.
whole, oh, I defended the wrong person.
I
Yeah.
made a
And it's,
mistake.
I mean, I think she seemed pretty disturbed by Charmine's death. So I like to think maybe
Yeah,
she's switching teams in a way because of, there was a death involved, and it's not just getting people, you know, acquitted
yeah,
of whatever. Now
yeah,
a journalist died, you guys. I mean, it's pretty, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
A person
We
is
take
pretty
that
dead.
dark.
seriously here at GBH.
Yeah, seriously. One other question about just sort of like the practicalities of British law. What is the difference between a barrister and a solicitor? I think we heard them called lawyers at some point as well. Can you break that down for us, Megan?
Yes. So in the UK, so first of all, they're all lawyers, and in the US, we're accustomed to, when someone has a lawyer, they work with them throughout the whole part of the process. They help them earlier in their case, and then if they do go to court, they help them with their court. In the UK, usually a barrister is someone who is brought in to actually go to court and argue in front of a judge, whereas a solicitor is usually someone that works mostly like in the office, just helping their client. So they're all lawyers, but Rochelle is a barrister, so she's actually up in court doing her thing. We saw her in that black robe at the beginning, so she's a barrister.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Now, one last question. You mentioned that
Mm.
there is something that you've been watching, enjoying recently that you think people might like. So we're going to do a mini,
Yeah.
within this segment, I'm going to say it. If you like
Ah!
this, tell
Yes.
us, Megan, what will they like?
Okay. So this has a roadkill connection. So just give me 1 second to explain. I was flipping through Netflix this week, and I was like, you know what? I'm really sick of American politics, but I could go for like European politics. So I started watching this show called Borgen on Netflix. And it's a Danish
Oh.
show, and it is
Oh.
about the first female prime minister of Denmark. It's fictional and kind of all the scandals happening around her. And I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Roadkill. Like it's a similar vibe. I think she's a little more morally upright than Peter, obviously. And I was watching Roadkill this week, and I say, well, Madeline looks really familiar, and it's actually the same actress. That actress plays the Danish prime minister in the
That's
show.
amazing.
Yeah, and she's great. So if you can handle the subtitles, it's all in Danish, I will say. It's great. And you know who else is in it is Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones is in it. So that's
Amazing.
a little surprise. He's a kind of a Duncan character in the show. So if you like
Wow.
Roadkill, I would check out Borgen on Netflix.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
And I
Well, thank you
actually,
once again.
yeah, that's amazing. I know my uncles actually recommended that to me as well. So
Oh, okay.
there's
Mhm.
definitely a fan base growing out there then. So
Yeah, if you're
I love
watching,
it.
let us know. Let's hear what
yeah,
people think.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Megan, from the field. We really appreciate
Thank
it. Your legal knowledge is, as always, very helpful to us because this is slightly confusing, this show, and we are in your debt.
That's what I'm
Now,
here for, anytime.
we're gonna go to our next segment, which we're calling MVP, everyone's favorite, where we are going to figure out who is the most valuable player in tonight's episode. Now, of course, we have a couple of different options on the table. I personally would like to advocate for, oh man, a couple of different folks. I'm not even sure who I would pick. I think probably gotta give it up for Rochelle because she turns it around and goes from the dark side to the light side, or is at least starting to do that. And I think she's going to make a big impact there. Uh-oh, I think we lost Andrea again. We're having internet, folks. We apologize, everyone. It's that time of the year where we fight with technology. Now, while we are waiting for her to refresh, I'm going to go take another look at the social phone. Don't forget, you can always send us your thoughts, your feelings, your questions, your reactions to Borgen, even. We would enjoy. I'm going to just give us a little refresh, see what we've got. from Zach, our producer. Oh, Andrea's back. Haha. All right. While we've got you, who's your MVP?
No, I'm kidding. It's Rochelle this week. I definitely, as we know, think Rochelle's amazing. I think this journey has been really exciting for her. I think that, you know me, I love Severus Snape. I love all of those characters who are like, oh, I messed up. I aligned myself with the Dark Lord by accident. Maybe I should reverse myself and go towards the light. I'm a sucker for that story. I am. You do something terrible, you realize it, you do better. I thought she did amazing, and I was really, to be honest, delighted with that kind of path for her, and delighted to not see another, regretful white boy in that role.
Yes, it's nice to mix it up for sure. I completely agree. I said Rochelle as well. I think I just am really enjoying her. I would love to see an entire show just about her whole career situation. That would be a lot of fun.
We could totally have a spin-off of Rochelle being like, what are all the crimes I've defended in my past that I can reverse? Like, I would pay good money for that. I'm going to text somebody right now so that I can start funding that.
Great, sounds good. I love this plan. Well, since we're in agreement, we've picked an MVP. We only have one segment left on the night, which I think we should go to, and that's of course, Who's That Man? Who's that guy?
If I can make it through this segment, I will tell you.
I love it. Now, the guy that we are trying to identify tonight, we have two, sort of. It's Trevor.
Tall Trevor.
And the party chairman, head of the party, Mysterious Chess Man.
Mysterious Chess Man.
I like it. That I think we maybe saw him in that first episode at like the fundraiser with Dawn, but it was like a really quick thing.
Yeah.
Who's these guys?
Who's this? So the Mysterious Chess Man is the party chairman, party head. And that would be as if, like who Boris Johnson is today. I think that's what we would see. Somebody like that, or similar in the U.S. It's like Nancy Pelosi for the Democratic Party. It's sort of the representative of that person. Usually, it's somebody specific for different areas. So Nancy Pelosi is the party head for the Senate. So it would be different depending on what. We only know he's the party head here, so I'm guessing he's the person who sort of runs the show overall for all the different people. Trevor, the very, very tall, intimidating man who likes to loom over women, which we don't like. He's the head, essentially, of the arms lobby. So he works on manufacturing weaponry, and he's the head of the lobbyists who donate or who have shady dealings with the ministers in this case. So
great. So he's awful, basically.
Yeah, basically. I mean, we kind of got that implied from the conversation we saw him have. It's kind of dreadful. But, again, we come back to that whole politician's nature or nurture thing. This is the kind of thing that they're running up against, that they're, these are the people who give them money to get into power.
Well, and the fact that Dawn is, she's like grappling with that question of, he made it very clear that if she doesn't do what he wants, he is in a position to take her out and have her not be prime minister anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if you're deciding between, like, putting a moratorium on shipping out weapons that just kill British citizens and are clearly getting into the wrong hands, or staying prime minister, I feel like a lot of politicians, John might make a choice that we don't really like.
Not our favorite. We'll tell you that. Yeah, I mean, you kind of wish that sustainability and nature lobbyists had this much power, but alas and alack, they don't.
Indeed.
You can't really sell black market nature to people. Would that you could, but
hey, bro, check out this tree I got.
Hey, you want another date palm for your country?
You know what? That would be kind of fun. I would like that if that were the way it is. But alas,
if I ran a country, that's how I would be. So I'd be like, what?
Well, we solved the debate. That's politicians can be good if it's Andrea and you can bribe her with trees.
Totally. Ruffalo's,
perfect.
Whatever. Just call me the Lorax, baby.
Well, we nailed it. So that's who that guy is. We don't like him. That's the takeaway. Yeah. We're going to head into our comment of the day here. And let's see. All right, I think this one, I'm going to go with comment of the day because I think that it is extremely accurate and I happen to agree with it. Oh boy, I don't know how to read this Twitter handle. At X Guns Blazing says, I have a real bad feeling that all hell is going to break loose next week. And you know what? I hard agree. Yeah. I'm very worried about what we're gonna have to try and unpick next week.
We have 1 week left.
Yeah, there's 1 week to resolve all these storylines.
Well, I think we're pretty safe to say there's probably going to be a second season unless they have better summation skills than, you know, most television shows out there. We haven't. I should put it out there. We haven't gotten confirmation from anybody that there's going to be a second season. But
caveat, yes, we don't know. But
we don't know. But I feel like with where we are, it's impossible to just be like, and that's that story. You know, I feel like we need more.
Yeah. And in fact, we have a quote from Dave on Twitch. Hey Dave, thanks for tuning in again. Who says, "This whole show is above my head. All I know is that I need to stay far away from Peter Lawrence if I don't want to get caught in the blast radius." Yes, I completely agree, and I think that that's a good advice for us all. Stay away from Peter.
Stay away from Peter Lawrence, and hopefully you'll be fine. And on that note, I think we're done this week. Are we out?
I think so. We're out.
Oh, wow.
We're finished. Crazy.
That's all we got for you this week, folks. But it was great sitting here with you. We're happy to have 1 more week left. And possibly a surprise guest for you next week if the stars align correctly.
Just maybe. Just maybe.
We'll see. And on that note, we will be back next week for the finale of Roadkill and hope to see you soon.